Hello and welcome to season 6 of the SSF Rumcast. I have secretly called this the Omen, but I will explain that later. I am Jessica and I'm joined by my lovely friend who is just going to go, What?
I am, yeah, Emma. And I'm going, what?
Season 6 with 6 degrees of
Oh,
separation and
I
6 books. It has
see.
been
I was,
666 in my head for
yeah,
ages. Sorry.
okay.
Hi.
Yeah. But it won't be 6 books because if
Well, it
you
six.
caught the trailer,
Yes.
it's actually going to be 10 books.
Yes. 4, 4, 5, 6, 5. Yeah. 4 and
Four
4
for
and 2.
you, four for
Yes.
you, two we agree on.
Yeah,
Four,
that's
four
fine.
plus four. We are
This is why we do
40-year-old
books and
people.
not maths.
Yeah. Adding up sums that my
Yep.
8-year-old could do like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I've been thinking of it as the mixology season.
oh,
Like we had
okay.
season 3, the musical. This is like season 6, the mixology.
Mixology.
But it
Both
works. I
work.
like the Omen
The
mixology.
Now that would make a cocktail. Now,
Yeah.
so we are discussing cocktails. There is a
Yeah.
reason for this. It's not just
Hmm.
the reaching 40 and the alcohol being useful these days.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so there is a bit of a new structure, as we mentioned in the trailer, what we're going to be doing, and we'll explain it a little bit more as we go along, how it's going to
Hmm.
work, and it will become
Okay.
more obvious.
When we find words and we can speak them again, then you'll probably understand
Yeah, a
what
little
we're
bit more.
doing
And
in
we've
the
not
season.
even started drinking yet.
I know, I know.
Mm.
Yeah. So we, as we said in the trailer, we're doing the first book we've picked together and we're going to talk
Yes,
about as we normally would, but we have retired the spinny wheel of awesome for this
we
season,
have.
which was a necessity because we're going to have different books throughout 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it wouldn't work if we
No.
got like I don't know. What wouldn't have worked? Like
Uh,
if it was sci-fi elements and then like one of us had fantasy and one of us had
yeah,
sci-fi,
one of
that's
us
not gonna
totally
work,
different. Well, yeah,
really.
magical realism was always the thing for me. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, no magic at
No.
all. I've got a
No
stone
magic in
person
this
and a
one.
monster. Um,
Yes. I mean, yeah.
that is
You
quite
can get
magical.
it. It's quite
Yeah,
magical, but you
but
have to bend it, don't
mm,
you, really, to make it
yeah,
fit. And we
tweak a little.
thought, no, we won't do any bending this time. So we have replaced it with, I think they call it the golden ratio,
Do they?
which is, yeah, I think they
Mm.
do for the cocktails. So the drink of choice we're gonna split between the proportions of a cocktail, basically.
Yeah.
And that's it. Oh, do you know what I haven't done? I haven't got the blurb for this book to
Oh, okay.
read it. I'll have to grab it quickly. Do we normally do that?
We do, yes.
How long have we been away? Right, hang on.
It's not been a year.
It doesn't, it's not, but it feels like it. It feels
Mm,
like it. So I'm just gonna have to bring it up now on my
yeah.
phone.
So while Emma does that, I will tell you what the book is called.
Yeah, you go for
So
it, Jess.
yeah. So
Cover my back.
yeah, this is fine. It's all good. So this book is The Winter King by C.L. Wilson. And I think it's part of the Weather Mage series, which I will explain later that I picked up one and went straight through to the next one. So if I
Yes.
do jump too far into certain bits, that is the reason, because it was that good.
It's very important as well when I was clicking, as you said it, to remember it is The Winter King by C.L. Wilson, not The Winter King by Bernard Cornwell. That's quite a different book. Okay.
Yeah.
I think they've made a series of that on ITV, but that's not the one. Maybe it's good. I quite enjoyed Uhtred
But
for many
I
seasons.
don't find any romance in this.
Okay, so right, I shall read the blurb. This might
Yes.
this might cover half of our plot
Yeah.
if we go for it. Okay. After 3 long years of war, starkly handsome Winter Atrilan, is that how we say that?
That's how I was
Atrilan?
saying it.
Cool. Um, will have his vengeance on Summerlee's king by taking one of the man's beautiful beloved daughters as his bride. But though peace is finally at hand, Winter's battle with the Ice Heart, the dread power he embraced to avenge his brother's death, rages on. Kamsin Coruscate, is that how we say that?
Yes, just
That'll
we'll
do.
go with it. Yeah.
Princess of Summerlee and Summoner of Storms, has spent her life exiled to the shadows of her father's palace. Reviled by her father, marriage to Wintercragg's icy king was supposed to be a terrible punishment, but instead offers Cam her first taste of freedom and her first taste of overwhelming passion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
As fierce, indomitable. I don't think I've ever said that word out loud, so I hope I got that right. Winter weathers even Camzin's wildest storms, surprising her with a tenderness she never expected. Cam wants more than Winter's passion. She yearns for his love. But the power of the Ice Heart is growing. Dangerous forces are gathering, and a devastating betrayal puts Camzin and Winter to the ultimate test.
Mm.
I did cover a lot.
Yeah, see why it's so good. That
Yeah.
does encapsulate a big chunk of the first,
Good,
the
good
prologue.
chunk.
Yeah. So
So shall we start?
let's
then?
get to it.
Let's go.
I was like, we covered a lot of the beginning bit. Do we want to go over some of that to say,
There's-
okay,
There's a few details that are kind of
Mm.
left out, aren't they? I mean, is it the prologue or is it chapter 1?
I thought
is
it was the
chapter 1, isn't
prologue.
it?
Oh, is it? Oh, I don't know.
I think it's that thing, like, you know,
Should it have
when
been?
people
Was it?
say like, "Oh, I don't like prologues," just make it chapter 1,
Just,
and then
yeah,
say a few
change the
years
name.
past.
Yeah.
This
And
is
then
it.
the next. Yeah.
Makes no difference.
No.
Yeah. So that's how it begins. Is that you basically get to see the thing that's like torn their two kingdoms asunder from each other. You
Yes.
get to see it play out. Camzin's at home in Summerlee with her brother, who's about to go off to Winter Craig. Is that how we say
Yeah,
it?
Winter
Winter
Craig.
Craig.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
been saying Craig.
Yeah. And that she thinks he's going there to be just like an ambassador to talk
Yeah.
about
Peace and
treaties,
stuff. Yeah.
things like that. She doesn't want him to go. The sun shines out of his backside for everybody. He's like, oh, the prince,
Yeah.
the golden prince.
Well, understandably with her
Mm.
dad, the way he is. So
That's it. Yeah, her dad absolutely hates her, blames her for her mother's death, keeps her away from
yeah.
everyone,
Locked in the
says,
tower.
yeah, says her magic gift is too volatile, too dangerous to be around people. And so when her brother's going to go, she knows she's going to be even more isolated, and she doesn't want him to, basically.
No.
And then we see him go, and we see Winter with his brother, his younger
Mhm.
brother. And his younger brother is counseling him. He's only like
Yes.
14,
Oh, I
isn't
know.
he?
It is.
Yeah. So Winter's basically raised his brother as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah. They
much.
lost their parents as well. Quite
Yeah.
well. Yeah. Garrick, the younger brother, he was quite young. So yeah,
Mhm.
Winter's raised him, and they become they're kind of, yeah, it's a weird relationship. I really like it that he's kind of dad but still older brother.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
it's
it.
really nice how it works. But
And also king, and that's weird. So he's quite a
yes.
young king, which is something that plays into some of the events too, isn't it?
Yes.
Him having to take over from his parents who they lost quite young. And his brother is counseling him about Winter's fiance, that he don't like her. He don't like her,
No.
really. He doesn't trust her. And he doesn't trust Falcon, who is
The ambassador.
Camzin's
Yeah.
brother. Thinks they're flirting. And Winter's like, yeah, but that's politics. Like, queens do that. It's
Yeah.
flirtations, it's court stuff. You mustn't speak badly of her. Hmm.
Yeah. Until
Until, oh, it goes so bad, doesn't it? It's
yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Um,
Falcon takes the wife, buggers
yeah.
off with some precious bits and pieces as well.
Yes.
And Garrick goes after to try and
Yeah.
he takes a book, which is
Yeah.
called the Book of Riddles. I will say that because I went and checked it.
Yes. That's important. You
It's
spent
important
time
because I
finding that
said that I
out.
looked for it. Yeah, yeah. Falcon takes the Book of Riddles and the Winter Wife and leaves. So Garrick goes to get the book back. I think he's fine leaving the wife where she is, and Falcon kills him. That's it, done.
Yeah, and it's even worse than that because
Well,
they
it's
set a decoy to get Winter to not be paying attention
Yeah,
while
go
they
the other
fled,
way.
which was like completely pillaging this village. There's like 80 people that they've killed. Um, and then when Winter gets back and he finds out Garrick went after Falcon, and then he finds him in the woods and he's shot
Mm.
through the throat. It's
With an
terrible.
arrow, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. Content warnings for this book,
Oh yeah.
definitely. Do
Oh
check
God,
them.
yeah. Mm.
Yeah, there's some harsh stuff in this. I
Mhm.
don't think it's gratuitous in
No,
any
not at
way,
all.
but
But
that's my opinion, and
yeah,
different people have
yeah, yeah.
different
Triggers and
feelings.
mhm.
Yeah, definitely. And so obviously he's devastated and betrayed, and he decides to go back to this temple that they have and do something that will give him the power to avenge um everyone, his
Yeah,
kingdom,
everything.
himself, his brother, who he's just heartbroken about. And yeah, Falcon's got away. And the fiance
Yeah,
as well.
Elka
She's gone
gets
too,
away. Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
she?
they're
Yeah,
gone.
Elka as
Hmm.
well. And that's where that leaves it, isn't it? He has to like
Yeah, that's
basically.
this is loads goes on within
Yeah.
this first chapter, and it's like okay, and now a few years
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's what you
yeah,
said to me, wasn't it?
yeah.
It was like all of this has happened, and that's like the first bit. You were gonna read your bit, weren't you?
I
You were
do have
gonna-
it here. So I
Yeah.
wrote Summer Girl and Bro, Winter Dude and Bro, Summer Bro stealing book and Winter Wife, Little Winter Dude dead, Winter Dude mad angry, then chapter one. It's like,
Mad angry.
oh my God.
I love it.
Right. Well, he's very angry. He basically, we get to it, and it is Cam in her kingdom waiting for Winter to arrive in Summerley.
Yeah.
And they're trying to broker some peace because he's just frozen everything.
Yeah.
So
It's
as you
it's been 3 years of
get
war.
3 years, and as you can imagine, the winters live in a very cold, I don't, Arctic-y climate, whereas the summer
Mm,
people, warm, bright flowers, crops, and they all have their own goods that they make. So yeah, winter is not happy, so he just puts his frost out and it kills
yeah.
everything, all of the food, all of everything that the summer people have to live on and to trade, and they are all dying, they're starving, they can't do anything, they have no
Yeah.
money, they have no food, they have no goods to trade. So the king, who hates winter, has to kind of have him there to broker peace. So
Yeah.
that's where we
And
find
that's
Cam.
one of the points that was kind of being discussed in the treaty too, was that Summerlee were trying to put up the prices of the food that they send in to the Winter Kingdom as well, like in the past. So, but obviously they're more used to managing without that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, he arrives with his kind of retinue, his army and stuff to talk about I mean, it's basically a surrender, isn't it? It's um and Kamzin's not called to come and meet
No,
as part of the royal family. That never happens. Um and she goes up onto the battlements to like
he's a
check
lurker.
out what's going
Yeah.
on. Yeah. Yeah. You gotta like a lurker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Girl after my own heart.
Yep, I
Just
was
go and have a
gonna
look.
say.
But that doesn't work because he spots.
Of course he does, yeah. With his
Yeah.
icy stare. So they
His
all have,
icy stare.
yeah, they all have these gifts that I was gonna say they don't seem so much at the beginning, but they are quite epic. It's just when they get
Yeah.
more epic later in the book, they
Hmm.
are epic. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's got with this thing that he did at the beginning, he has this ice heart and he can kind of freeze you with his stare, and he kind
Hmm.
of cottons onto her thinking she's kind of just a servant, or well, he thinks she's an assassin at first, doesn't he?
Oh, that's later.
Mhm.
I think
Oh,
at
is it?
that point he thinks she's just a servant up there because she's
Oh,
like she's always forever like ripping her clothes and
yeah,
stuff
she's
like
she
that.
she is basically a vagabond.
Yes, they never give her nice new clothes
No.
anyway.
Well, yeah,
So
this is they kind of meet many times like this in this
yes.
first section because she's not allowed out.
No. Mm-mm. So yeah, he sees her and they connect. They have a moment. He gets off his horse and he's like 7 feet tall. Did
Of
you
course he
clock
is.
that in this
Mhm.
one? 7 feet. That is excessive. Okay.
Like Bruno, 7 foot frame.
Yeah.
No rats.
But anyway, then he goes in to meet the king and he the king's trying to smile him up. He's like, "Oh, I've got some nice
Mm.
rooms for you." And he's like, "Yeah, they Falcon's rooms because I ain't having them." if you're trying to put me in
Yeah,
his old
come
rooms.
on.
Nana. And he insists upon having the suites at the top of the palace, which were Kamsin's mum's.
Yeah, the Queen's old ones.
Yeah, the Queen's old rooms, and they need time to get them ready. But it's like he's like, yeah, we'll see that you do.
Get it
Everything
done.
is like, here's the challenge, have it,
Yeah.
or we're not gonna have the peace, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, he goes for that. And when Kamsin finds this out, she's really cross and she
Yeah.
wants to go up and get her mum's things out of the room. And
Yes.
that's what you were talking about, wasn't it? With the her
Yeah.
sneaking around up there
Yeah,
and
so she
stuff.
does. I think, yeah, she kind of uses it as like her own little fortress. So she's in and out,
Mm,
and she kind of reads through. It's not the big stuff she wants. She reads through her mum's old journals and stuff
yeah.
like that, just to kind of try and keep that piece of her. So yeah,
Hmm.
she kind of lurks around, and she does go and steals some servants' clothes to try and get herself in and see what's going on. And I think the first time she tries it, she gets caught and
Yeah.
scurries away. And
Yeah.
then
There's
the
a
next
very
time she goes back.
what's her name? There's like a evil housekeeper.
Oh, she's like the shame woman in Game of Thrones, isn't she?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Either
you want to?
that or who is it? Mrs. Danvers from Rebecca or something. She's the
I
evil
wouldn't have seen that.
housekeeper
Oh, is
lurking.
she? Yeah.
Um, yeah. Yeah. So they catch her the first time and she gets like proper reprimanded by
Hmm.
her dad. Um, and her sisters are also there when that happens and they're trying to calm him down and stuff. You
Yes.
told me you had beef with the sisters. I'm
I
interested
did a
about
little
hearing
bit.
more about that.
Yeah, that can
Hmm.
be later. I did, yeah,
Okay.
that will be later.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Um, so she's had her wrist slapped and gone away, but does that stop her?
no.
Not really, no. So by the time Winter gets up there and he's had dinner with the sisters, I think at this
Yes.
point, and
Yeah.
has
So
he also demanded the terms?
not yet. I think that
Not
comes
yet.
after. So yeah, there are three other sisters who are
Mhm.
called the Summer. Oh no, they're called the Seasons. So
Yes.
they've been they're beautiful, lovely women who everybody adores, and they are nicknamed after the season. So we have spring, summer, and autumn.
Hmm.
And we do have obviously a fourth season, but she's never given that name. But it does, with the frostiness, it
Yeah,
would link
I
to her.
suppose
Can
so.
be in winter.
Yeah. Although I suppose because they're summer princesses, they wouldn't have had a winter season either because her gift wouldn't match.
It wouldn't link to that, but
Hmm.
she is frozen out. So to me, it worked quite well.
Yeah. And yeah, so they go by gift names, but they also have their own
Give
names
yeah,
too.
proper
And they
names.
call her Storm because
Yes, because
she's
of her
like
power of.
a weather mage, isn't she?
Mm,
It's very cool. She
mhm.
has like white streaks in her hair. She got
Like
black hair with
Rogue.
white streaks. Yeah, exactly. That's very
Mm.
cool. Um, yeah. So if he doesn't say that then, is it after he
I'm
meets her the
sure it's
second time?
I think it's
I'm not sure.
after. So yeah, so he's in his rooms when she's there trying to snap all the stuff away, and him and
Mm-hmm.
his little man Friday come up, and
Yeah.
they find her and they think she's
Matt
pilfering.
Friday.
I'm trying to think of a good second in command
Yeah.
name, but that's what came into my head.
Hmm.
Yeah, so she's trying to pilfer away all of her mum's little booklets and like combs and just little things. And yeah, they think she's a thief. So he's got her up the wall trying to empty out her pockets. And there's obviously some sort of connection between them.
Yeah, I mean that's it. It's like zingy, like as soon as they
Yeah.
touch. And he's also got this thing that he is descended from the Snow Wolf clan.
Snow wolves.
Snow Wolf
Hmm.
clan. So they have heightened senses as well for some things, and of course it's sense of smell. And of course it is. Um, so yeah, it kind of she speaks to his wolfy side, I
Yes.
would say. And
Yes,
he
he's
reacts
his.
in a way he's never reacted to
No.
anybody before. He gets quite growly and possessive.
Mm.
Like his
Mine.
yeah, his second in command's behind him, saying, You should
Uh,
probably stop that. Probably stop that,
yeah.
Win.
Come
You're being a
away
bit
from the
come
servant.
come
Yeah.
away from her. And he's just like because he's
Yeah.
like, Don't come near my woman. Um already.
Mm.
But yeah, he gets a little bit carried away. He decides to kiss her as he's, held her up against the wall. And then the window just explodes behind her, doesn't it? Not behind
Hmm.
her, but behind him. Which is obviously her power
Yeah.
because she's reacting. I mean, she likes it.
Yeah.
She's having reaction, but not
Mm.
keen at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. You still want to get away, but you can maybe think
Yes.
about the other stuff later.
Yeah, conflicted.
Yeah.
Um, and while they're thinking that this has been like a decoy for an assassin attack, she
Yeah.
legs it.
Yeah.
She gets out of there.
But she runs into the shame lady again and is dragged straight back in front of her dad,
Yeah.
and he's having none of it this time. There's no sisters around, so he takes her to the deepest, darkest bowels of the palace, and I think that affects her magic as well, doesn't it? That because she's so
Yeah.
deep and so far down, she can do nothing about it.
Yeah, exactly. She needs to have like the sky or something available to her so she can call upon it. But
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah,
I think
basically,
Winter must have talked to him about his terms at that point. Because if Verdun
it would
takes her
make sense
down,
to, yeah,
yeah.
it makes sense to, yeah, okay, yeah,
So Winter's insisted that the terms of the treaty are that he gets to have one of the daughters,
yeah.
basically, one
Well,
of
he
the
gets back
seasons.
what he lost, I think, is the thing.
Yes,
So he lost his wife, his treasure with the book, and his heir with his brother,
yeah,
and he wants all three back.
that's it. And the way he sees that as happening is that he's going to marry one of the princesses, and if she doesn't produce an heir by the end of a year, they
Hmm.
will send her out to the mercy of the mountains, and he'll get another one, and
Yeah,
he'll work through them until he has what he
until we get
wants,
to an heir.
or
Yeah,
or the Summer King has no more daughters.
yeah,
Basically, it's a bit cross still.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we go back to the depths of the cave, and the
Mm.
dad beats Cam basically to within an inch of her life.
Oh
He's
yeah,
yeah, it's
it's
not
rough
nice to the
because
point
he's
she can't
insisting it will
move.
be her, so he
Yeah,
doesn't
you
leave
have
his
two
other
choices.
daughters. Hmm.
Yeah, death
Or you marry
or
him.
yeah, or the death really.
Um,
Banishment.
yes, and it's she's very stubborn and strong-willed, and she holds out for far longer than she probably should have. And she's what is it, like the 12th beating that she
Yeah,
finally agrees to it
yeah,
because she realizes I'm gonna die here if I
yeah,
don't.
yeah. This is my
Um,
only chance of escape.
yeah, and she gets back up to her rooms, and her nursemaid who's
Oh,
kind of looked
Tildy.
after. Now, Tildy, right, when I read this book after I had read your book. Okay. And it was funny because it was like I read it and I was like, this is so the dynamic of what's her name in your one?
Oh,
I've
Ruth.
forgotten. Ruth,
Ruth.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
See, that is
I can see. Yeah.
she is absolutely
Oh,
that character, isn't she? She's
she
like
really is. Yeah.
um so straight talking,
Mm.
not cowed by
We all
anybody.
need one of these people in our
She's
lives.
amazing. And she wants to care for Tamsin, but it also comes to light that, she's been busy.
Yeah,
Tildy has
she's
been
kind of
busy.
manipulated certain situations.
Yes, and she's tried to yeah, she's been a spy in the camp
Mm?
because she knew how it was going to end up.
Yeah.
And she gave Verdan the idea to have it be Kamzin. And Kamzin feels quite betrayed by this,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you can see why. So,
God, yes.
Tildy's saying, look, if you stay here, he's going to try and kill you off at some point. He hates
Mm?
you this much.
Yeah.
At least if you're there, you're somewhere else, you get an opportunity to, be a queen and eventually have your kids on the throne.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's it, isn't it? If you marry him and have an heir, it's not
yeah,
just the winter heir, it's
yeah.
here as well.
Hmm. So, yeah, it's difficult though because she's kept so much from her. But they decide that the wedding will be in 3 days, kind of, and they
Mm.
let Winter know that it's been agreed. And they have to try and heal her. She's
Yeah,
so
she's
bad.
so battered that they just have to basically strap her together to just kind of keep her
Yeah.
upright.
And they get there and they were like, oh, all right, what we'll do is we'll send in one of the other sisters first, He's insisting that the wedding night happens here so that
Mm-hmm.
they know he's actually going to sleep with the queen in
Yeah,
order to get
consummate
her
everything. Yeah.
impregnated. Um, so we'll send in Autumn with heavy veils on, and then you'll go in and have the wedding night, because Tildy's saying to him that there's no way she's going to be able to do this ceremony. She's still so
She's,
bad.
yeah,
Um, but she does, because she's that
stubborn as
stubborn.
anything. Yeah.
She's like, I'm going to do this. I've made this decision. I'm going to stand up there and say those vows because this is
Mm-hmm. This is
what
my
I've agreed
wedding.
to.
Mm.
Yeah. And yeah, the wedding is interesting.
Oh,
It's yeah. But it's the first time they're kind of together with it's not really. It takes quite a while before they're together on kind of an equal footing and knowing
yes.
everything that's
What there is to know. Yeah.
honest between them.
Mm.
Um, but he can sense that she's not right. He can see that she's
Yes.
suffering, and he's showing her like little kindnesses and stuff.
Yeah, they're all interlaced in there, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, he's he's picking up on stuff that's wrong as well. Like he's not impressed with how the the Summer King's treating her, and what how this is all playing out. And then when they get the hand fasting bit of the ceremony, they've both got these marks, haven't they, to show
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
their
To show their
bloodlines,
lineage. Yeah.
and their wrists get bound together, and then it just the magic
Yeah.
goes bang. Yeah. Um, and then they head off for the feast,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
which
just yeah. If you think that Dad can't get any worse,
you do, and he
yeah,
always
and then he
does.
always does. This
He
one's
always
one
does.
louder. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically he drugs them both with this like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, medieval
Arrest leaf.
Viagra.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Medieval.
basically, yeah. They're just there. They want to bang like rabbits. So yeah,
But Winter gets him to have some too,
yeah.
because he
So,
doesn't trust him that it's not poison.
but the king's kind of he's not that fussed about that. He's like, all right, cool.
What that's before.
Well,
Before. Yeah. So he says, "Oh, there's this ceremonial ritual
yeah, you
thing,
have to
like the
have this.
veils. You have to both drink from the cup, and they have this wine, and then the
Right.
sisters take Camzin off, and they take her to Autumn's rooms, and
Yeah, so all the
because
scents.
that's it, they're trying to make him think she's Autumn for as long as possible. Um, so yeah, all of the scents there and stuff like that, and yeah, they eventually they bring it's all like low lighting, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
it's mood lighting, but for
yeah.
other
And
reasons.
then by the time it gets there, half an hour later, once this aphrodisiac thing has
Yeah,
kicked in,
is no stopping it. Yeah,
no. Considering
wild
they've already
horses.
got this like immediate kind of chemistry between them, and then that on top,
Yeah,
it's
that
like,
added bonus.
yeah. So it gets consummated.
Yeah, it does.
Oh
4,000
yeah.
words.
Not that time, but
No, that's happened later on.
yeah. Um, and the sisters get her to leave like in
Yeah,
the
they
night.
wake her up really early, don't they, to get her out and dress her and get her ready to go because
Mhm.
she can barely get up, can she?
Yeah, bless her. Um, and then Winter wakes up in the morning and she's gone, and he's pissed at first,
Yeah,
and then he sees the blood on the sheets
yeah,
where
everywhere. Her
her back
back's all
has been,
torn open.
rubbed raw, basically. Um, and he's really worried that he's hurt her because he wasn't in control of himself.
Yeah,
Oh, that was the other thing we were saying about him getting the king to do. It was like, go tie up the king so he can't do anything. Now he's got, when he
yeah.
realizes
Now
he's
he's
been
got his.
drugged,
Now he's going to get his end away.
tie his hands up and everything. So he can't do anything about it.
Does
Um, yeah, so he goes to find her, and he thinks he finds her, but he finds
he
Autumn,
finds Autumn? Yeah.
who he thinks is his wife, but she's not.
No, she doesn't smell right. She doesn't seem right. There's
She's got
no.
no marks on her
No. Yeah.
whatsoever.
We were kind of rough. You should have a something. No.
Yeah, we were. I would, and I mean, she confirms that she's fine.
Yeah.
which alleviates his. But then she won't give him a kiss. She's like, "Oh, it's unseemly."
Yeah.
And it's like,
How
"You
dare
weren't
you,
like that
sir?
last night."
No.
um, so he's put on the back foot again about what's going on, and he's like, "Well, we're leaving now. You know, you've got an
Now.
hour to pack up." And it did make me laugh when she goes back and she's telling Camden about it. It
She's
it was a bit of the lady minds going on, wasn't it? Because then she was
yes.
like, "He tried to
Did
kiss
you
me." She's
kiss
like,
him?
"You didn't kiss
Yeah.
him, did you?"
Yeah. He did. You didn't touch him in any way, shape, or
Mm-mm.
form. He's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. I mean, she gives him quite an admiring glance as she's leaving in the night, doesn't she?
Yeah. Aw.
It's not. She's like, it could be worse.
Yeah.
If you're gonna get married off to somebody, could be
It could be
worse.
worse.
Yeah. Um. And they get out there and they put the veils on her again and stuff. And he notices the rings back on her finger that he's
Yes.
given her.
And
But he
there's
also notices
the marks and the
that's it. And he's like,
mm,
well,
yeah.
okay, you're not
What
the
the
same person.
yeah. The
And he
veil
sniffs
is
her wrists too,
coming
doesn't
off.
he? And he's like,
Yeah.
ah, you smell right,
Yeah.
but you're not her. Yeah. And so
But
he
you are a her
realizes,
because you have the thing on your wrist. It was all very
yeah, yeah. And he's also not been able to forget about the maid is the thing.
yeah,
And he
yeah,
thinks she's
yeah.
the maid. He was trying to find out, and they were like, "You're about to marry one of the princesses, Winter. Come on, stop thinking about the
Yeah,
maid."
come
He's
on.
like, "I can't," but all right.
I just won't tell you about it now.
Yeah. Um, so they go back in to have this out about what's happened and who she is. And he's like, "But you've only got three daughters."
No,
It's
no,
a very
no.
Fey moment. The dad
Yeah,
was very Fey. It's well known you only have three daughters. Is
that you
it well
know
known,
of.
or do I only have three daughters that are well known?
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh, you
oh,
did.
you twisty little shit.
Mm,
And so he realizes he has got a daughter. There's nothing has broken the treaty, so he can't do anything about the marriage. But he knows there must be something wrong. And he gets to see her back and see what happened. And
yeah.
oh,
Oh. The moment of vengeance is welcomed.
it is sublime.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's not just got the icy stare, he has an icy touch.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, which hand did he beat you with?
Yeah,
Because that hand is no longer there. 'Cause
that's
it
it.
will be grabbed and removed.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
that was
like,
a
you made
moment
an
of
error
pleasure.
because she's my wife now.
Yep. And everything that is mine, I am allowed to take revenge for.
Yes,
Oh, and he
even
did.
stuff in her past before she was my
Mm,
wife. And he does. So
hmm
the Summer King
Good.
only
Oh,
has one hand
good.
left.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
less
not a good
pain than
one.
he deserves, frankly.
Yeah, for what he did.
Yeah. Um, and then they leave.
They go,
So
yep, they go off. They go off
yeah,
to back to Wintercraig, which is it's a long, long journey that they have to
yeah.
make.
How many weeks? It's meant to be weeks, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah,
That it's gonna
weeks and weeks
take
and
them.
weeks, yeah.
Yeah,
And they're slowed down by the fact that when they start moving, Camsin is really not well after everything that she's been doing and pushing. Her
yeah.
body is just not right at all. And she's
No,
got a
she's
lady's maid with her who's trying to
mm-hmm.
feed her up and do all sorts of bits for her, but she's
Yeah,
in this carriage and it's weaving around and she can't eat. She's feeling sick all the time.
yeah.
And the weeks it's supposed to take, they're having to kind of slow down for
Mm-hmm.
her. And yeah, it's just going to drag it out even further. But Winter, bless him, he kind of steps up and helps out and pitches tents so she has nights away from
Yeah.
being in the carriage and tries to get her to eat, not in the nicest way possible.
I mean,
But
that's classic. But I think I've read a classic tent
yeah,
scene where someone
yeah.
tries to get someone to
If you
eat.
don't eat, I will
Uh,
feed you. I will make you eat.
yeah. So she does. But
Yeah.
he'll end up coming back anyway.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, he's trying to show his concern for her, but to her it just feels like, well, some of the time she thinks she sees that he's more tender and kind than he appears, and then other times he will just go and say something that will
Yeah.
immediately make her
Back to
put her
square
back
one.
up because
Yeah.
she's very defiant. She doesn't want to be told what to do. And yeah, he puts them back to square one, and she's just like, oh well, I'm just, I'm just your property and you're looking after your property kind of thing. But it gets to the point where it's like, really infected. She can't get up. She's like,
No,
that's it.
she's done.
Yeah. And they call in a doctor of their own, don't they, to check her out.
Yeah.
And as they're trying to heal her, he's helping. She's calling up a storm,
Yeah, yeah.
like subconsciously, because she's in so much pain and she's so angry. And eventually the lightning just like forks through the
The
tent,
tent, yeah, and straight
hits
into her.
her,
Mhm.
and like Winter's having to go and like deal with the fires and
Yeah, the
stuff
whole
with his
tent
ice
is burning
power.
around
And he's
her.
like, is she all right? Is she dead? What's happened? And you're like, oh, she's healed herself.
Fine,
She struck herself with lightning and
as
now she's
luck would have it.
perfect.
No,
Yeah.
that's all you needed.
And then that is like the first moment after that, like when she wakes up, and that's the first moment they're both whole and well and in this situation together, and they know who the other one is and
Yeah,
what their intentions are,
yeah,
basically. Because the maid has also told her about the being left to the mercy of the mountains. Her dad left that bit out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What
So,
happens there?
yeah. Which is an interesting thing. That's an
Yes,
interesting plot
when you get later
later
on as
on.
to what it
Yeah.
is, yeah. It's always all of the twisty turnies in these sorts of things. They're
Yes.
kind of always like that.
So is that about that's
That's
about where
where,
you got it?
yeah, I left it there because
Okay.
too many other things start suddenly appearing after that, which is like, okay,
Yeah.
then we have to go through like we did in the prologue chapter 1 bit, and it's
There's so many bits as well. There's like other stuff because of him talking to his second in command, who wanted to stay in Summerlee to like make sure there's no rebellion, and he's
mhm.
gutted, but he's like a brother from another mother, and he
Yeah, they
doesn't
are good friends.
he doesn't want to part with him, because that's the thing with the Ice Heart as well, is every time he uses his powers, he loses some
Yeah, a
more of
bit of
himself.
himself. Mm-hmm.
And when he's with Kamzin,
It's
he feels
not
very
so
hot
bad.
and alive.
A little bit bothered, sir.
That's it. Yeah. So okay, that was the main bit of the cocktail. That
Hmm.
was our two parts
Yes.
of the proportion. Um, I deemed this one the perfect storm cocktail. That's what
Hmm.
you hadn't given it you
No,
gave it a
I didn't
name,
give
didn't
it.
you?
I created a name out of the ether
Created
because
one.
of something that happened in the book that made me giggle.
Oh, nice.
Well,
Okay.
a part of the book that is, yeah, we'll mention it in a minute.
Okay. Um, yeah, so I've got the two other bits, which would be like the other part of the cocktail. So for a perfect storm, that's the spiced rum bit is the plot.
Hmm.
You have 2 ounces of that. And then you've got some bitters and lime and then ginger beer.
Oh, nice.
Sounds nice.
A little bit of a fizz
I think I might need to try these cocktails when we do
at
it.
some
I just
point
I just did not have time to do it.
to mix it up.
Yeah.
I do like a nice one.
So, what was it then? What did you
Okay,
call it? Come on.
so I called mine the icy sword
Ooh.
just
Okay.
because. So at the beginning, Kamzin has this thing. There is this chap called Roland who is
God, we
kind of
didn't
like
even
a
talk
dude.
about that,
Well,
did
no,
we?
because yeah, because that is mostly the next part of the book, isn't
Yeah.
it? So the Book
Hmm.
of Riddles is supposedly a path to get to Roland's sword, which is kind of this big epic sword that could be, save the world sort of thing. If
Yeah.
the wielder has it, then yeah, they're like undefeatable.
Hmm.
So Falcon went to get this book to try and find the way to Roland's sword.
Yeah.
And Kamzin has spent her life reading through these fairy tales, being by herself. You read books. And she knows every single story about Roland, what he did for every trial and quest he ever went on.
Yeah.
But yeah, Roland has this sword, and it just stuck in my head, this big icy sword. So yeah, that's what I called
Well,
my cocktail.
Roland's one is blazing, isn't it?
Well,
Is
that's
the
what it's
sword.
called, yeah.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it being Winter's sword, it would be a big icy sword.
It was a yeah.
Yeah,
Of
it's a
course
very
it.
big icy
He's
sword.
got his own big icy sword,
Yeah.
which is
So
Gunterfeast or
I
something like that.
don't think I remembered that one, but yeah,
I can't remember if I wrote it down, but it's a giant killer because he's
yeah,
literally killed a
because
frost giant.
he's huge.
Yeah.
You need to have a big sword if you're 7 feet tall. But yeah, my
You
drink of
really
choice
do.
is a Smirnoff Ice, which I found in my fridge,
Uh-huh.
which is 4% vodka and based on my childhood, 90 something percent regret.
Yes.
So,
Childhood, Jess.
well, yeah, we've said this earlier. Childhood is anyone under 20 these
Yes.
days.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And there probably was Smirnoff Ices involved in some
And
slight underage
2020.
drinking. Oh.
Ugh. So,
Yeah. What was the really sicky yellow one?
hooch.
Hooch.
Ugh.
Ugh. Gross.
Mm.
Yeah, we're not having that one.
But I am going to drink
Smirnoff
this.
Life's all right though.
It's not too bad, did you?
It's one of the better ones, definitely.
He says why she drinks it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
You
It's not like a.
voluntarily bought it as an
I
adult.
did. I
So
did. Well, I don't do beer, so this is kind of
yeah.
my beer. Beer makes me feel either very tipsy or very sick. So,
This is the thing, right? So I was thinking about like making different cocktails and things, and we don't drink a lot, to be
no,
honest. So it's not worth buying big bottles of stuff. So I
because they
do
never
tend to
get
get like the
used.
little cans, little
Hmm.
cocktail cans.
Yeah,
Just one of those.
yeah. Four for £3 at Morrison's. Thanks very much.
So classy.
Yeah, classy bird. And I drink it out of a can. Look at me.
Yep.
No washing up.
Why dirty up a glass? Just make work for yourself.
I'll have a straw in it later.
Okay. Um, yes. So that is a really big thing about the yeah, how much she loves Roland and all of that and
Yeah,
what
all
happens
her
with him.
stories. Bless them.
So I kind of looked at the the bitters and lime bit because it's like a mix up bit
Mm.
of, and I kind of thought about the tropes in this
Okay.
book because there are so many.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
There
The
are so
marriage,
many
the forced
tropes.
proximities.
And it was funny what you said earlier with regard to her dad and
Mm.
saying he always goes like one up. He's like dialed up to 11.
Mm.
And I feel like that's what happens with all of these tropes. Like, it's not enough that it's an arranged marriage, but you
They
have
go one
all
louder.
of that hoopla with the wedding and him
Yeah.
not even knowing who she, but everything makes so much sense to the story. Like, their
Yes.
motivations as to why the characters end up doing this stuff is
Yeah. It
like,
all fits.
it is like right from the get-go with, him wanting the vengeance and the domino pieces and stuff. I mean, I didn't do an endless list of all the tropes because unfortunately I didn't have time to reread the book entirely. But yeah,
But
I
no,
mean,
there are loads of little bits. So there is found family that comes in a bit later. But again,
yeah,
that's not a simple thing that it
no,
doesn't just come easily. It takes work to get to
yeah,
that stage
hmm,
for various person or reasons.
yeah,
But yeah, it when it comes, it's kind of epically cemented.
yeah. And I mean, there's the McGovern, which is like what we've done before, which is the thing that they're looking for, this sword that's gone missing, which is part of her heritage, but
Yes.
they know that the Winter Kingdom's probably got it, and
Yeah.
it's the thing that's kicked it all off in the first place.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, there's if you're into pregnancy stuff, then there's a fair bit of that in this
Yes,
book too, which
there
is
is later.
obviously one of the content warnings, trigger warnings thing, because
Mm.
that's not always enjoyable for some people. But there's a lot about it because obviously that's part of the deal is he wants to get her with an heir,
He wants
so
his heir, yeah.
they have to do that. Um, there's the fated mate stuff.
Oh God,
It's
yeah.
it's blatantly a fate. Like
Yeah.
like if you know your tropes right at the beginning, the moment he sniffs her,
Yes.
you're like,
Well, there's a snow wolf on his arm. It's like a
yeah.
birthmark of a wolf. There's only so many ways
It's
that's
like a
gonna
bat
go.
signal to the
Yeah.
romance
Yeah.
readers.
No, 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 no. Yeah. You know it's
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Um, yeah, and yeah, the enemies to lovers is just
Mm.
a lot. And it's like it goes into it in a way that's really human and understandable in that she knows her brother's done this terrible thing, but she still, you know, he was her idol. She loved him so much. She thought he was like the embodiment of Roland.
He was the second coming of Roland in theory.
Yeah. So she finds it really hard to deal with what he's done and that he's left them all in it because no one knows where he's gone.
No, well, this
He
is it.
didn't take part in the
Well,
war.
yeah. Did he take the wife? Was the wife like a
Yeah.
prisoner? Nobody knew. No, still knows nothing.
Mm-mm.
Quite a
Well,
long
Tildy
time.
knows a bit.
Tildy knows everything. She just
Tildy, of course, Tildy does.
drops it in when
Yeah,
when
she's
it's
like, by the
necessary.
way.
Yeah. Did you know?
Yeah, and she's let on that he was looking for the sword, hasn't
Mm,
she? Like right at the beginning, even. Um, so yeah, you know, and him holding her arm's length and never knowing if she's gonna betray him or not. And then even when they get closer and closer, he fears what will happen if she betrays him or, you know, something goes wrong between them because of the ice heart and
yeah.
him being taken over by, which is another legend that is part of it. So yeah, there's a lot of trope stuff. I mean, and obviously there's like the micro trope. Who did this to you? Like straight away.
Oh,
let's get rid of his hand because he did
oh.
it. You
Yeah,
know?
we'll just sprinkle that in there and fix it and sort
Yeah,
it really quickly,
that's
but
it.
in such a good way.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of think it's a micro trope, the healing thing. Like if you've read a lot of not historical fantasies, historical romance, how many of them do you end up with someone that's got sepsis or
Oh,
something?
they've been shot. The bullet hasn't gone all the way through, but
Yeah,
it's going to get infected. We need a poultice. It's going to have honey in it. So
poultices
sticky.
galore.
So
Yeah.
sticky. I think I'd rather
And they're
die. Don't
like
cover me in honey.
washing the
Yeah,
wounds and they're
every four
screaming and
hours
there's
and
feeding them broth. It's like,
oh,
what's that? Like caretaking, isn't it? It's the
it
healing and the
is.
caretaking and stuff like that. So
Oh,
yes. So that was the mix of tropes was like that
was-
side of it for
hmm.
me. Have
Well,
you got
yeah.
another one?
Well, mine was family. So,
Oh yeah, yeah.
so there were just so many different relationships involved. We don't really see much of Winter and Garrick because of
No.
what happens at the beginning. But as we mentioned, their relationship is so strong and so sturdy. And at the beginning, when they are chatting together, they're making ice sculptures.
Yeah.
And then she finds a room that she's not supposed to go in, and he's told her loads of times, do not go
Yeah.
into the West Wing.
It's very beast, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know exactly the bit.
Into
Yeah.
his flower.
Leave my rose alone. You don't
Yes.
know what you could have done.
Yes.
And I
Um,
was scared the whole time through that scene that she was going to break
break one
something.
of them. Yeah.
Just because that's what I'm like.
Oh,
There's all this
yeah.
fragile stuff that's really precious. Oh my God.
It's like when I take my kids somewhere and there's bottles. It's like, no, just stand in
Just,
a line
just don't
behind me.
touch.
Yeah. So she basically, the room where they made all the sculptures, he keeps it cold, and every single sculpture he made with his brother is still in there. And
Mm,
they kind of he has them as his memories, and just yeah, those relationships of Winter and Garrick were so different to Tamsin and Falk and how they were at the beginning, and then how it changed at the end when
yeah.
he kind of she still wants to forgive him and not think badly of him, but he was horrible in the end. He turned into her dad
Yeah.
because he wanted this power so much. And yet then he kind of offers her up sort of thing in the end. And then how that relationship turned and with the sisters. So it was just so weird that when it kind of happened at the beginning, my brain was like, you could have done more
Yeah.
for her because it just got so horrific so quickly. And yeah, it was just a bit of I wanted to just give him a bit of a shake to go, you must see what he's doing. And I know it kind of works with all of the plot that, yeah, if the sister stepped in more, she probably wouldn't be as outcast and it just wouldn't work. But there were just points of wanting to grab Autumn and Summer and just bang their heads together. Go, just go and help a
Yeah,
little
Spring's
bit.
quite feisty.
Yes.
Spring's got a bit
So,
of a
bit of a kick.
yeah. But
But
I
well,
think
they
it,
all do in the.
and you can yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. I think I gave them a little bit more leeway than
Yeah.
that at the beginning because, you know, they would have been kids too when it
Mm,
started, and lost their mother, and maybe there were complications around that, and they probably would have been kept away and not had a lot of control over
Well,
that.
this is it. Yeah, what was sold to them, because the point was that she was something went wrong with her magic, and she killed her mother
Yeah,
through just the
that's what
fallout.
she's told.
Yes.
There was an accident for
Mm.
sure. She was there. Her magic went off. It was like a tree limb or something, like
Yeah,
hit her
something
mother on the head.
happened.
But it wasn't actually what killed her mum. That's just what she's been told, and she's really concerned about how dangerous her power is, which is another lovely thing between the pair of them, because his power complements hers in that he can kind of neutralize it a bit
Yeah,
if
bring
she
it
gets
back a
out
bit.
of control.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, her mother actually dies of like a lung disease, which
Yeah.
it comes about is that she was weakened from
Yeah.
having cams in because her dad
Yeah.
didn't get a vasectomy. He
No, he
couldn't keep it in
shouldn't.
his pants.
No more babies. He was
No
told
more
no more
babies,
babies,
but
and he wouldn't
the
listen.
mum wanted it, and so he couldn't say no, and then
Yeah.
a baby came along, and then he blames the baby. Sorry, dads in fiction
Yeah, just
when it
can be.
comes to things like that. Just like, again, another like trope, really, isn't it? The dickhead dad.
Yeah.
Um,
I would love that to be a trope, dickhead dad.
it is kind of, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's never called that. It's
It's
not.
never called that, but it is that.
Welcome to this podcast. What's trope today? Dickhead dads.
Dickhead dad. And the one I'll be linking next week.
Oh.
No. Could do.
Oh, it's so
I'm
good.
sure I could find one. I mean,
I'm trying to think what mine is. Yeah, I could probably tweak it.
yeah, I could probably find a few that's the
Mm,
actual
mm,
thing.
mm.
Um, yeah. So yeah, the family stuff, there's lots of complicated stuff. And obviously she then like creates her own little family
Little
as well
grouping. Yeah.
before actually having a baby. Just yeah, she kind of adopts a little waif, doesn't she?
Yeah. Oh,
Like
he's
a little street
lovely.
urchin
Yeah.
just.
See, she's saying that because I had my Fagin gloves on earlier, but I've taken my Fagin gloves off now.
Damn, I wanted you to just go a bucket or two.
Just, I'll start next week just pulling things out of my bra.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of like, and like we were saying about his second in command is like his brother. And
Yes.
by the way, he was the brother of his fiance as
Mm.
well. So they all grew up together.
Yes.
And
It's
there's
all
another
very
sister
close knit, isn't it?
who gets quite into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess it is with courts and royal families and that.
Well, yeah.
You really make the gene pool small.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to, yeah, as British people, we can see the royal family and how it goes. It's kind of,
Mm. Yes. Well, my last bit were like my ginger beer bit.
your ginger beer.
Yeah, my ginger beer bit
Bubbles.
to top it off was it was just like this one moment right at the end. I won't go into like plot details, partly because I can't remember
Can't remember 'em.
exactly. But mostly I don't want to spoil. But it kind of links in. It's like a small bit which is demonstrative of a larger piece, which is about Kamzin's development throughout the story. And I think like she's such a strong character right off the bat.
From the get-go, yeah.
But she still does a lot of developing and growing up
Yes.
and having the freedom and learning things about herself and her power and what she's capable of. And right at the end, there's this moment where it's down to her to there's no one else to look at, there's no one else to turn to, and she becomes like fully the queen. And she does this speech to like rally the troops.
Yeah, yeah.
And no word of a lie, it actually gave me chills. And I never get that. Like when you're
Oh,
watching a fantasy film or a historical film and they do their
take our
rousing
freedom.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll take our
And I'm
lives,
like,
but never take our
yeah. But this one was like, oh, I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I really got going for it. But I
Yeah.
think it was my investment in her. She's flawed, but you always root for her because
Yes.
her heart's in the right place, and she's all, even when she's wrong, she does make wrong calls
Yes,
throughout
she
it.
does.
But that's just some of her naivety, but she's not naive in an annoying way. She
No.
skirts it.
Yeah.
And
I totally get what you mean because she gets there and she gets even more downtrodden than she was
yeah,
before because it's now the entire court kind of
that's
doesn't
it.
want her
Yeah,
there
and
and
my
she
heart was
tries so
breaking for
hard.
her through that
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, so she tries so hard to get on with the women of the court, but the winter wife's sister is kind of
Yeah,
sowing the seeds of doubt. So she stays away from the women and tries to chat to the kids,
yeah,
but the mums find out and pull the kids away, and that
yeah,
gutted me when she's trying so hard just to have a friend. And Winter's off doing kingly things, not thinking about it, and it's yeah,
yeah,
you just every time she's trying to build back up, she's just pushed down.
yeah. And again, it's understandable because she's the daughter of this,
Yep,
and
this
the sister of this terrible person who's
yeah,
done
who
this,
destroyed everything.
set them at war, and they've had loads of people that have died. Their family haven't come home from this war, and they're not interested in embracing her. But she persists. She keeps and she shows her worth and her care, and she starts to embrace it and see it as her kingdom too. And
Yeah.
um, it's really funny because when I read a sample for this book like a few years ago, I picked it up, I'd
Okay.
seen it, and I went to read it. And we were talking about like being in the right mood for things in the right
Mm.
time. And I remember reading the opening bit and just being like, oh, she seems like a brat. Like literally at the very
Yeah.
beginning, because she's like saying to her brother, I'll
Oh,
stay,
yeah.
man. And I was just like, nah. And I put it away. And then I saw a TikTok reviewer talking about it, and they gave it a really good review, and I was like, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that again. And the
Give it
second
a
time
go.
I read it, I looked and I was like, oh no, okay, I can see what's
Yeah.
going on here a
Yeah.
bit. And by the second chapter, I was like, no, I really like her.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy that those things can happen?
Well, yeah, that was it. So you recommended it to me, and then yeah, I went through it. And when she's up in that window and they're staring at each other, like a little
Mm,
storm and stuff starts to build, doesn't it?
yeah,
And you can kind of already you can see, yeah, the feistiness kicks in so
that's
quickly, and you're like,
it.
oh, hello,
Yeah, because I
hidden
did
depth.
think there's a little bit of that because she's practicing sword fighting as well before he comes
Yes,
in. You think,
she is.
oh, is she going to be like a stereotypical, like, I'm a badass kind of girl?
Mm,
Not that I
no,
mind that, but I don't like that being the defining characteristic. Her defiance and her stubbornness infiltrates everything that
yeah,
she does.
yeah,
It's not just for the sake of it either. She tries to stop and think, and she's aware of her failings in that respect. And having been raised in isolation and, you know, not been given courtly manners and things like that, or
yeah,
aware of politics, and she's got so much to learn from the
yeah,
beginning to the end, and
yeah.
she
She's
really
starting
does.
off at yeah,
She nails
nothing.
it.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was my kind of
yeah. You're
my
adding.
my last bit.
Yeah, well, my adage is just that, yeah, I got to the end and I think I messaged you and said, I'm really sorry, I gotta read the next book. 'Cause
Yes.
I went straight into the next book because at the end where she is having her big rousing speech, there
Mm-hmm.
is one of the princes of the Sea Kingdom. So the
Yes.
next book is The Sea King and his name's Dillis and he's this big hulking chappy. So I got like Khal Drogo vibes in my head that this
Mm-hmm.
big tattooed dude
But a
coming out.
pirate.
Yes, all the ships and the sailing, so cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's kind of like at the end, he's like, yeah, if you're not going to marry her, I'll have her. She's, could you sure you don't want to marry me?
Yeah, yeah.
And that,
He's trying.
so
Don't do that. Don't do
no,
that, dude. He'll get
no,
pissed.
he made a deal with Falcon, didn't he, to come in and kind of take over. And he's like,
Yeah.
actually, no, bugger you off, brother. I want the
Yeah.
sister.
That's it. She like proper proves herself,
Mm,
and he's like,
yeah.
respect for the lady here.
Yes. So
Definitely.
the next book in it, it is very much the matriarchal system that rules. So to show that strength and power for her, that
Oh,
does it for him.
really?
So yeah. So it's
Mm.
very good. Read the second book
Yeah, I've not
at
read
some
that
point.
yet. Oh, I so need to. So many
Mm,
books that I need to get to, like the second
yes.
book of.
Mm,
Um,
but yeah.
yeah, it's awesome. It is
Yes.
long.
Yes, so much going on. It's very good though.
But that's it. I mean, we haven't even touched on the fact that there's
So many
like
things.
so much action. So you get like a lot
Ice
of cool
monsters.
stuff. You get like, yeah, these like massive, terrible beasts
Mm,
and things going on, which are becoming more and more because of the
yeah,
Ice
where are
King
they coming
getting
from?
closer and closer. So it's all like rolling constantly. Like the things that she's having to deal with on a smaller level back at the palace, and then like all this epic stuff, and then like the Sea King is actually that's a problem because
Yeah.
of like invasion and stuff.
Well, yeah, this
It's
is it. Falcons are coming in from Falcon, sort of
yeah,
going, "Oh, why are you there?" Da, 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 da. And she's kind of trying to think that her brother's actually maybe still this good guy, and he's not. So
yeah,
she's got all of this going around her head while she's in love with Winter and trying not to kind of have both sides of everything.
yeah. It's an awesome book,
Roller coaster, but
definitely.
awesome. Yeah, go read it.
So that's what we kicked off with.
Yes,
Our perfect storm, Smirnoff Ice.
icy
What was it?
sword.
Ice sword. Yeah, icy sword. So
I'm
there's
going to
three
try and make an
drinks.
ice sword now
Like
to
an
put in my
actual ice
drink.
sword or the
Just to
drink?
put in my drink. Yeah,
The
just no
drink.
to put a big ice sword in my
Oh,
drink.
that would be so cool. I bet you
That
could
would be
find
really
a
cool.
mold
I'm
that was
so
like that.
going to now.
Yeah. When I was looking up different cocktails that I could use, there was also one. It's something of Viking because it's kind of like the
It
Winter
is.
King is very, but you had like this massive slice of cucumber in it, and I thought,
Oh,
maybe,
it wouldn't stick
maybe
as
that
much,
would be
obviously.
suitable. Yeah, but no. Um, right. On that note,
Well, this is it. Yeah. How are we going to link to next week? Because,
well, we're gonna have to tell our links next week when we come with our books. I think when we surprise each other with what element we've taken of all these fantastic tropes and
yeah,
elements,
so
dickhead
many.
dads and things like that. What we've picked and what we're going
There's,
to. So I think like yeah, we'll
we'll
say next
leave
week.
it.
So it's
Yeah,
going to be
we'll
a
leave it there.
surprise all season what we go
Ooh.
to.
Oh, I'm bad at surprises.
Oh, well, it's all right. It's not like a gift.
Oh,
It's
no,
it's just
it
another
is.
book
It's a
recommendation for
gift
you
that
just to
keeps
do
on
those
giving.
all the time.
That's a gift from you.
Constantly.
I love those. There's a super gift. But yeah, until that time, come and see us at all of the social places, the
Yes.
TikTok, the X, the YouTube, the Spotify at
Yeah.
SFF Romcast.
I think we've still got our Insta going as well.
Oh,
We
have we
and
still got
of
Insta?
course YouTube if you want to see our faces, and whatever we have behind us on our shelves. But you can just listen, like Jess said, on
Yeah,
Apple, Spotify, all
to
those
the
ones
sound of our
if you're
voices.
doing your cleaning or not, laying
Yeah,
down, relaxing, going for
sitting
a
on the
run,
sofa, having
whatever
a
it
chat,
is you're doing. Just, just having a moment to yourself while
just
other
having a
people
Smirnoff
chat.
Ice.
If you have your hair down like me, no one will know.
Nobody can hear you.
That's it. Yes. So it was lovely to be
Mm,
back.
yeah,
First one done.
I know. One and done.
Only a few things that we weren't quite prepared for. It will run so smooth next time.
Nobody noticed those. It's all good.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Right.
Until next week, people. Cheers.
Until next week. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.